Good evening and salutations, my Y and R fans. Wow, I haven't done one of these in a hot minute. Okay, so let's go with Victor for a hot minute because here's the thing. I can understand why people are so annoyed with Victor because let's just be honest for a hot minute, bro. You're like 80 something years old and you want to continue to have this petty, vindictive feud with somebody else who's I'm assuming damn near just as old as you. The joke behind the Young and Restless is they always sit there and say God, how it goes. I think they call it the Old and the Restless or something like that. And it's like you have these two senior citizens that are generally going back and forth. And after a while, it's like, this is just dumb. Like, granted, I heard that their epic battles back in the day were so great. And, Victor had this clone or this look-alike of Jack. And there's a scene that's probably my favorite scene so far in The Young and the Restless. Victor comes in and Victor's pretty much taking over the company, and Jack takes a chair and just throws it out the window. And that was Jack's thing, just throwing chairs out the window, right? And that was cool back in the day. Bro, y'all like past 60 at this point. This shit is just old. Um so he walks up to Jack, he's like, oh, well, you won fair and square, and Jack ain't buying any of that. So Jack is like, yeah, say you're attaboy to somebody who actually needs it. They exchange some words and then they leave. Then he leaves. He goes back to the ranch um, while Victoria and Nikki are giving Claire new clothes because, I don't know, they're rich or whatever. After that, Victor talks to Claire. And this is where it just gets kind of stupid in a sense with Victor because all he's doing is trying to poison this girl's mind. Oh, the Abbotts are trash, and their family is in shambles, and if it's in ruins, and they're very chaotic and stuff like that, and you're working for Nikki, so you can't be distracted by Kyle and everything like that, and Claire's like my grandmother and my mother has a good work balanced life thing going on. I can do that too. I don't have to sit there and choose one or the other. And then he gets to a point where he's like, well, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to sit there and either choose the Abbotts or choose your own family. And I'm like, bro, why are you doing this? Like, I mean, I get it. This is Victor. This is what he does. But it's so idiotic that he's at a point where in his life where he wants to pass down this rivalry between the two families for years. Now he wants to sit there and pass that down to his grandchildren. This is what you're doing in your later years of your life instead of bestowing them wisdom and knowledge and love and stuff like that. You want to sit there and pass down a old ass grudge that's been going on for decades, and I mean decades. Seriously. And of course, Victoria, Nikki comes back and Claire tells them about what's going on. And, Victoria is you can tell she's like, seriously. Like, she's annoyed. She's like, yo, listen, what are you doing? But she comes downstairs in her new clothes and it was like, ooh, ah. And it's like, all right, whatever, fine. Um, Devon comes to sit there and see, um, Devon comes to see Nate and sees Audrey there. And I don't know if Audra's actually living there now, which would make sense because, I mean, let's be honest. She don't have a job. I'm pretty sure the athletic club is expensive to sit there and live there. And it really does not make any sense. And also, from a financial standpoint, oh, you ain't got no ends. You ain't got no job. And this is where it comes down to you don't have a job. You don't really have any sort of ties to this show as far as family and a lot of good friends and stuff. Most of the people in the town cannot stand you. All right. And Devon comes over there and they start sniping back and forth. And, eventually she leaves so those two can talk. They talk about her for a little bit. And Devon's like, how serious are y'all? Because, I mean, not that long ago, she was sitting there making a bunch of disparaging remarks about marriage. And to be fair, I'm kind of like, just because she doesn't believe in marriage doesn't mean that she doesn't believe in love in a relationship. Marriage and relationship, I don't know. I have a different take on marriage, but I do feel like it is a commitment. And I feel like if you're in a relationship, why not make that commitment? Some people think that marriage is nothing more than just a piece of paper. And I don't want to sit there and say it's offensive to marriage, because just because you're married does not mean that you're not going to break up. But just because you're not married does not mean that you're not going to break up. I just feel like it's one of those things where you're with somebody for a long time, you're with there long enough, why not make that extra step? Anyway, they talk about that for a little bit. Then they talk about Lily. And this is where the show, once again, just gets so out of touch, right? One of my subscribers named Sierra, I guess she tried to watch it for a little bit and it just didn't work. And I completely understand. Um, because they're talking about her like, oh, I'm so worried about Lily. And like, what are you worried about Lily? Okay, she may not have a job, but she's not going to be destitute. Like, Audra doesn't have a job. Audra could be destitute. Okay, and she may have to be sitting there living back with family because she don't have a job. Lily not having a job doesn't mean anything. And they're like, oh well, she may have been with the twins for a little bit, but eventually things is not gonna, her not having a job is, is she's not gonna have anything to be challenged with. Like, oh my god, she's not gonna have anything to be challenged by. Oh heavens, what is she gonna do? It's like when people sit there and talk about Adam lost a job or Nick quit or Victoria's not, like, no one cares. No one cares. This is where it just starts to lose me. It's like no one cares about these people losing their job. I would care more about Liz on General Hospital losing her job before I do anybody. It's the stuff maybe Audra losing her job. Or hell, even Elena. Elena's not rich. Elena makes money because she's a doctor, but she ain't rich. Oh, Nate's a cousin of Devon, and Devon has money, so it's not like he's going to be all destitute or whatever. But you see what I'm talking about, right? At some point, Nate comes to sit there and sees Lily. They talk for a little bit. It's nothing too crazy. And then when Audrey walks in, Lily's like, "Wow, look at the time. I think it's time for me to, like, I don't know, be somewhere else." And I was just bothered by that. I was just like, listen, your family don't like me, and I get that, but she's like, she doesn't so much care that people don't like her. She's used to people not liking her. And I'm kind of like, well, maybe the problem is you, Audra. Like, did you ever sit there and think maybe the problem is you? But she wants to sit there and get them to like her for Devon. I mean, for Nate, because she knows it's like she doesn't want to have to sit there and one have that interaction and feel like Nate has to step in, defend her and stuff like that. Um, And Nate's like, you just got to give him time and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't think time is going to help, to be honest. And I don't blame them for not liking her. I mean, she came to town. She wants to sit there and try to take over a family company with, um, with Tucker. You came in as a damn snake, and you said some really nasty, disgusting things to Devon. I'm sorry, but like, I understand why he has the energy like, yo, listen, I don't like you, and Lily don't like your ass either, and Abby don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't. I feel like at some points, like, what is she going to do on this show? I think that's what it really comes down to. So now she wants to try to make nice with these people, and on some level, I would sit there and say, "F that," Because if people don't like you, that's their problem. But since you're in a relationship with the family that don't like you, I don't really know is there much that she can actually do to change that. I mean, let's not get it twisted. Lily, you come with your own baggage. Devon, you come with your own baggage. I'm pretty sure Abby probably comes with her own baggage too. Oh, she definitely comes with her own baggage. So I don't know how much in a position that all three of them could really sit there and like judge her when they got shit of their own. Um, Now Jack and okay, Kyle. So Kyle is generally coming across as remorseful. He realized that he messed up badly, and you know, here's the thing: we can all sit there and look at him as the privileged prick that he is, and be like, "Hey, listen, what your parents did was not as bad as you are over exaggerating it to be, right?" And he did some really terrible things. We all know that. But I do like the fact that he did acknowledge that. And, Jack apologizing to a point where I felt like, bro, I don't think that you need to be that apologetic. Now, to be fair, I'm not a father. And it was kind of like Diane. She really went out her way to apologize for how she made him feel. And Jack was like, I could have did things differently. I could have stepped in. I should have realized how much of pain you were in. And the one defense I will sit there and say about Kyle is that we all, like, when things happen sometimes, it's very difficult for us to react in the right way, right? Like, yeah, he reacted in a way of a spoiled, privileged brat, but that's his reaction, right? Like that's his general reaction. So, I mean, it's like, are we really going to sit there and chastise him for how he reacted, knowing that we can look at ourselves in the mirrors and be like, hey, listen, I didn't always react to the things that happened to me, and I didn't always react to it right. There's no, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you do something to somebody, you can't always sit there and control how they're going to react. You can't sit there and be like, well, you react in some very poor and pissed well way. It's like, well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you expect on some level? Like, they're not always going to sit there and react in a way where it's always good or healthy. And it's very hard to sit there and, in a sense, kind of judge them for how they're going to react. We can sit there and say it's piss poor, but that's just how they're going to react. Also, uh, he got rich, right? So he's not going to react in the same way that anybody else is going to react. Like, he was privileged from birth. It's like we can't expect him to react in a way where it's like, well, you're right, Dad. You're right. I, you're right, Mom. I really shouldn't have did this. Like, that's how he's going to react. That's his upbringing. But they one of the things that Kyle did sit there and say was anything true about those comments back and forth that John made. Before I forget, Lily agreed to work with the family because, I mean, let's be honest, there's not really much else shit she can do. And I know somebody will sit there and be like, well, she can start her own company doing what? I don't think it's, I just, a lot of times, like, even on B&B, when people sit there and say, well, Carter and Hope could sit there and just start their own fashion line with Bill's help. I'm like, yeah, but the odds of that happening is like slim to none. I don't think that people understand that you can't just start a goddamn company just because. Um, it's like even with Audrey and Sal, people sit there and say, well, they can start their own company. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Where are they going to get the financing from? What, the bank of Nick Newman? Like, I just. Anyway, he asked, and Jack was like, "No, we just had to go to the extremes." And even Victor made a comment like that, like the stuff that they said. Even if they said they were acting, I don't know how much of that acting was really true. Um, anyway, I feel like that's pretty much about it. Share the video. It'll definitely help. The numbers on Young and the Restless has been like abysmal, to be honest. And normally I wouldn't sit there and do a review on this, but I want to kind of sit there because I don't. I'm gonna try to do a live stream tonight, but if I don't, for whatever reason, I want to sit there and get my thoughts out. I want to try to do this a lot more often. Just share the videos, like the videos. That does help other people know that these Young and the Restless reviews exist. Because I do want them to be popular. I love doing this. I always feel like everyone that does reviews add their own spins and their own unique takes on these reviews. That's what makes them so, I don't want to sit there and say special, but unique, you know? Anyway, if I forget anything, write it in the comment section below or come to the live stream tonight. I do it at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and, I talk about water shows. So.